It's time to remember your divine purpose and limitless potential. Welcome to Wisdom Rising, the official podcast of Moon Rising Shamanic Institute. Join shamanic Reiki practitioners Christine Renee, Isabel Wells, and Shantel Ochoa as we guide you on a journey of radical self-discovery and spiritual guidance. Each week, we'll dance through the realms of shamanism, mysticism, energy healing, and personal development to illuminate your path to true healing and self-sourced wisdom. Through weekly inspired conversations and interviews with leading spiritual and shamanic practitioners, we are here to help you acknowledge, reconcile, and balance your energy so that you can awaken to the whispers of wisdom rising from within. Hello, and welcome to the first official episode of the Wisdom Rising podcast. I'm your host for today, Isabel Wells, and if you're a new listener, I just want to say welcome. But if you're a return listener and wondering what happened to ReikiCafe Radio, may I just say welcome to our new online space, the Wisdom Rising podcast. This podcast is the podcast of our new official Shamanic Institute, Moon Rising Shamanic Institute, that had its grand opening today, August 8th, if you're listening to this when the podcast episode is first released. If you are catching us on Thursday, I invite you to join us for the opening ceremony for Moon Rising Shamanic Institute, as well as a Lionsgate portal celebration, as the energy today and moving into the next week is incredibly strong with this beautiful astrological event. That being said, I want to express the Moon Rising team, or the formerly ReikiCafe University team's immense gratitude for our amazing community. We have received nothing but positive, uplifting comments since we announced the launch of this new company, this new institute. And as things transitioned last night and officially opened today, we are overwhelmed by the amount of positive feedback we have received. So thank you all for joining us in this new space. Know that this podcast, just like ReikiCafe Radio, is a space for inspired, uplifting, authentic conversations. And this switch to Moon Rising is simply a way for us to embody our highest, most authentic selves in a more clear way. If you're curious about what happened to ReikiCafe Radio and ReikiCafe University, and you want to hear more about that transition, as well as hear the team's favorite memories and takeaways from the last decade, go ahead and listen to our previous podcast that was posted on Monday, August 5th, honoring ReikiCafe University. And if you're excited to learn more about what this transformation has in store for us, how it came about, and what Moon Rising Shamanic Institute, as well as this Wisdom Rising podcast, is really all about, then this is the episode for you. In today's episode, I'm honored to come together with the Moon Rising Shamanic Institute team to talk about the inspiration behind this rebrand and transformation, to explore our roles not only as the hosts of this podcast, but also as the support team, the mystic mentors for Moon Rising Shamanic Institute as a whole. We're going to be talking about who we serve and why we're different than other spiritual communities you might find. We're also going to be talking about some of our new branding aspects, especially our logo, which if you head over to the Moon Rising Shamanic Mystics Facebook group or check out our website, moonrisinginstitute.com, you'll see that our logo is this beautiful phoenix rising above the moon. And so in today's podcast, we're going to talk about the symbolism and spiritual power of both of those aspects. We're also going to be talking about how we're bringing in the divine feminine and the balance, the harmonious energetic balance in this new institute. We'll also be talking about what our 4 pillars are of shamanism, metaphysics, mysticism, and self-awareness, and why we chose those pillars. How this new energy that we're stepping into has earthly and celestial ties. And we'll talk a little bit more about what our offerings are and what you can expect in this new energy. We're also going to be sharing our mission and a really beautiful channeled message that our visionary, Christine Renee, received when we were coming up with the concept for this new institute. Here's a sneak peek at what you're going to hear.
Honor each other's tools, gifts, and strengths, for you are to awaken many. We will rise above the heaviness of the world and dissolve it from above and below, within and without.
This episode promises to be full of inspiration and evidence of the divine's hand in bringing this manifestation to life. We hope that this episode serves to inspire you that when you're ready to step into your highest self and show up in your authenticity, things will fall into place and the flow will find you. So without further ado, let's dive in. Welcome to our first episode of the Wisdom Rising podcast. We're here to help you rise with the wisdom within, and today we're sharing the story behind Moon Rising Shamanic Institute. This Shamanic Institute has come to its full manifestation on Thursday, August 8th, but we've been working behind the scenes for almost a year on this amazing project, and we're so excited to be able to share with you what we've been working on.
So back in December of 2023 was the first time that I was in a deep meditative state and connecting in with ReikiCafe University, the energy of it. And I saw the transformation. I saw the shift happening. And it was surprising. It was scary. It was like an earthquake that everything was being shaken up. And I was connected to my celestial guides who really wanted to encourage me to not be afraid, but to trust this energy that's coming in to transform our company into Moon Rising Shamanic Institute. And at the time, it was pretty intense. It was a very intense energy. I could feel it very viscerally. I could feel it in my body. It brought tears to my eyes. It brought up fear of change and the unknown, knowing that this was the grandest version of who we are as a company. And I wanted to be able to honor that. And so I want to share with you the message that I received back in March that really helped me say yes to this energy, say yes to bringing Moon Rising Shamanic Institute through, and to be able to trust the process. Because that was so much a part of this was just, let's take a breath and trust the process, that there is a grander version of divine timing and divine inspiration that's coming in with this energy. And I'm so excited to share that with you. So this is what they told me back in March as we were starting to do our branding, starting to do our work, and starting to really prepare ourselves for the shift. Here's what they had to tell me. You are working with multiple celestial beings with numerous places of origin, which are coming together to fulfill this mission. We have spent many celestial lifetimes planning this. The life circumstances to each awaken to our gifts and power. Now is the time to help awaken others to do the same using the tools and techniques we have learned along the way. Honor each other's tools, gifts, and strengths, for you are to awaken many. We will rise above the heaviness of the world and dissolve it from above and below, within and without, for it is time of great awakening. Do not fear, but do not be distracted. We know you are lonely, but your people are coming. You are creating a new earth. You are ready. The time is now. Have strength and worry not, for we are with you. It's time to share your truth. And here we are, sharing our truth with you all. Thank you so much for listening to Whispers of Wisdom, our new podcast. I'm super excited for today's conversation as we get to explore what this is all about.
Something that I love about the story of Moon Rising Shamanic Institute is, this really first came through as an idea of what if we had a shamanic school in November of last year. It might have even been December, but I remember being on a Zoom call with Christine, and we had been discussing what at the time was our signature program, our shamanic Reiki practitioner training. And we were looking at the feedback from students and really pulling on this inspiration of constantly wanting to evolve and to offer the best and highest that we have to offer. And we could feel that there was a mismatch. We kept trying to make this program happen again. We wanted to do it again in January, and there was just something in the energy that wasn't right. And little did we know that all three of us had been receiving messages and downloads and inspiration about what ReikiCafe University was to become, i.e., what Moon Rising Shamanic Institute was to become. And I remember sitting on this Zoom call with Christine, and I vividly remember the moment that I was like, what if we just had a shamanic school? And Christine was like, I know. And it makes me laugh because it's such a beautiful example of the entire process of bringing this to life. This process of hearing those divine whispers, hearing those intuitive little nudges and niggles telling us you could be more, you could expand, you don't have to keep doing it the way that you think you should. Just listen and let go and trust, and watching it all unfold. And what I love about it, and what I love about sharing this story with the three of us present, is that you get to hear the three different perspectives of how Moon Rising Shamanic Institute came to be. Because as we'll discuss in just a minute, Christine's really in that visionary role of seeing what it could be, pulling in that vision, pulling in that energy of what Moon Rising can and will be. Whereas I'm in more of an alchemist role of then taking that vision and saying, okay, how are we going to make it happen? What does it look like on the physical plane? How are we going to bring this to a human level so that it resonates with our community, so that it expands ourselves and our journey and it aligns with where we want to go? And Shantel has that mystical perspective of seeing how all of these threads weave together and how we can use these perspectives to bring in that magic and that balance and to honor the phases and cycles that evolve through this process. And as a whole, we've created something that is so much bigger and more magical and more magnificent than I think we ever could have imagined, because we've opened ourselves over and over and over again to trust that this project that by all means should not have happened, right? Nobody looks at an entire six-figure company and says, you know what we're going to do 6 months from now? We're going to entirely recreate it and think that that's a logical idea. That's not how it works. And yet, that was what the divine told us. The divine told us that come August, everything's going to change. Everything's going to be different. And you can step into your most empowered, authentic selves. And along the way, no matter our own personal doubts, our own personal healing that was happening, or our own personal idea of what it was going to look like, we really stepped into that energy of divine inspiration and trust and allowed spirit to lead us. And it has come together in such a beautiful way that I think is more than any one of us combined. And that's part of the power of having the three of us together, is that we hold that space in a really unique way and have allowed the divine to come through in so many beautiful and magnificent ways that we now get to share with you all as a part of our community.
Wow. As you're talking and explaining it, I'm being reminded of a reading that I did for Christine. And this was at the end of 2023. And I'm going to say probably around November or so. And the vision that I'm getting is there is this one particular card where there's a castle up in the sky. And I remember telling her, I sent you a voice message on it. And I remember telling you that there was bigger things coming, that you were going to bring your community, or not your community, but your team together. There was going to be this unity of team and this higher perspective of, at the time, ReikiCafe University. And not knowing then that Moon Rising Shamanic Institute was coming in, but knowing there was shifting, there was changing coming in, because I was feeling that I was receiving my own messages, and then having that reading coming through, it was very much of connecting to the symbolism of it and the energy of it, and to say, hey, okay, this is coming forward. And then when we started all talking about it, it was like, oh, wow, it's just so amazing on how each of us are connected and receiving the messages that we each needed to bring forward to create this energy of movement.
Absolutely. I feel like there was definitely a shift amongst all of us. And to be able to step into the change, I needed a lot of courage, because I feel like there was that piece of, I've built this 6-figure company, and what's going to happen if I change the face of the company? If we really truly step into our highest potential, what is that going to look like? How are people going to respond to that? And I feel like right now I've gotten so many affirmations and confirmations of, anytime that you step into your true authentic self, you're going to be met with equally powerful energy and support. And I feel like that is what we're doing. We're not only supporting each other as a team, but we're also supporting our community in a way that we couldn't before. because there was this expectation of what Reiki groups look like, what Reiki support looks like. And we wanted to dive in deeper than that. We really wanted to go into the shadow, but how do we talk about the shadow in a Reiki space? So we needed to step into the shamanic side more heavily. So we've always been about shamanic Reiki, but the shamanic side is where we alchemize. It's where we transform. It's where we transmute. It's where we release. It's where we bring in the fire. We burn things down. We really needed to be able to fully step into that authentic space in compassion, in inspiration, in our values, so that we could allow others to follow along in those footsteps. And I feel like that's what Moon Rising needed. And in my own personal journey, there was such a celestial connection that was like, this is what it is. You're an earth being, and we've prepared you. You're standing on your own 2 feet at this specific time, but we've prepared you. We've prepared you for this. Lifetimes we have prepared you for this. As a team, we have prepared you for this. And what's it's going to be as you fully step in the alchemy of bringing this forward. And that's just been an amazing, crazy, beautiful thing to witness as we have said yes to this over and over and over again, over specifically the last 7-8 months of going, okay, this is coming to fruition. And knowing that the celestials don't understand time very well. I think in the beginning, they were like, let's just do it right now. And I'm like, we have this whole like time thing down here on earth that we have to abide by, which means I can't just wave the magic wand and have a website. Like, there takes time and energy and preparation to do these steps. And so I've done this for years with my guides of like, remember, I'm on earth. There's this time thing down here that we have to abide by. And so I remember talking with Isabel about like, what's the fastest we can bring this forward? How can we bring this into fruition? And what would that look like for us? And just having that conversation of like, okay, here's the potential, here's the vision. I am the visionary, right? How can we alchemize it? What does that look like?
And I think that's such a beautiful representation of who we are as a company. And it's something that I personally love about Moon Rising Shamanic Institute as we've been bringing it forward is it really is founded on this idea of, and the word that keeps coming to mind for me is sisterhood, this idea that there's not one of us that's more important or valuable or prominent than the other. We really are here to support each other and to uplift each other. And our gifts mirror and reflect and complement each other's gifts. And as the three of us step forward together, we're really stepping out of this space where there's, a guru or a prominent person in a company, because we don't want that to be the focus. The focus of Moon Rising, the intention of Moon Rising is to facilitate you in your own self-healing. And so by doing so, we are standing in our truth. We're standing in our own healing and our own gifts, not so that you look at us and say, oh, I wish I could do it like Christine, or I wish I could see things like Shantel, but so that you can see in yourself the potential and the possibility to alchemize what's holding you back and to shine your light exactly the way that it's meant to be shown. And to really look at what are your gifts, what are your talents, what's your place in the world. And I think that by doing that, by creating this team where we don't have a hierarchy, we're not built on a hierarchy, we're not built on you should do it this way, we're built on what's your way. Let's find your path to healing. What are your gifts? And by really showing up in our own authentic truths and really being clear on these are my gifts, what are yours, we're allowing people to step into a space where that's common, that's accepted, that's offering them that permission to then find that own self-source wisdom in themselves. And so as we step into Moon Rising, we're each, the three of us, stepping into our authentic truth. And so within the Moon Rising Shamanic Institute company, we have myself, the Alchemist, Shantel the Mystic, and Christine, the Visionary. And so as the Alchemist, I'm really here to dance between those realms, to reach into that spiritual realm and find that truth, that soul-filled passion and purpose, and find ways that we bring it into this human reality, to look at the visions that Christine brings in and the energy that Shantel offers and find how we're going to alchemize those to create something magical in this 3D reality. But I also do that for our students. students, of reminding them and giving them permission to alchemize their trauma, to alchemize their limiting beliefs and release them so that, like that phoenix that you see in our logo, they can rise from those ashes and really embody their highest self so that they know that it's possible to turn what can so easily be perceived as just like dingy, grimy metal that life has given you into this gold nugget of truth and passion and purpose that you have in your own life.
I think that's my favorite part of who we are and what we offer and what we bring, is to give a foundation, a space for people to be exactly who they are, even in their rawness, because we can see within them who they are striving to become, their higher self. And so we just offer this platform, this ability for them to see that for themselves, because we get blinded by our own action, right? And when people come into our lives, as we are coming into our clients and our students' lives, we get to hold the space for them to really evolve and to shine their brightest light. And when you were saying about, is it in alignment for you? I love that we always ask each other that. Whenever we're in meetings or we're doing it, how does that feel? Does that feel in alignment to you? There's no pressure of, this is my idea and I want this to happen. And it might happen, but it's always this question, this play of energy back and forth. How does that feel? Does it feel good? Does it not? And that is truly what we offer in our courses, is to be able to say what feels good to you so that you can show up in your highest light. And when that pressure is released, I think that's when we really can show up and recognize what our integrity is, what's valuable to us, where our boundaries need to be set, all of these things. And so knowing, and like you're talking about the visionary and the alchemist and being the mystic, is truly connecting to the energy of recognizing where somebody sits. And when I can tune into their energy, feeling where the fears might be, feeling into where their anxiety is or whatever it is, and then helping them to alchemize that and release that fear, release that anxiety, to let it go, to envision something bigger for themselves that they may have never been able to see. But within our courses, within what they're able to learn, it's so profound and life-changing that it's pretty amazing to witness it, to witness our students, and to also witness it within ourselves.
And that goes right into who we serve and why, right? So on that note, we serve anyone who's ready for a deep transformational personal healing journey, and who's ready to go beyond the superficial and really dive in deep, who's really ready to do the shadow work. And that shadow work doesn't have to be scary or hard, that we can do it in a gentle and flowy manner that's invoking that self-sourced wisdom within, rather than following the gurus or the people who are saying you have to do it this way. This is how you should do it. Anytime we're shooting on ourselves, we need to look at that. Really, what we're offering is a buffet of options of different ways that we can radically self-care. And in that radical self-care, you begin to shed the old stories that you've been telling yourself. You shed the limiting beliefs. You shed the skin that you are outgrowing so that you can rise like the phoenix from the ashes and really embrace personal growth and celebrate who you truly are, the grandest version of who you are. So we do this. Why we do this is so that we can witness you in your transformation and be there to support you in that process as a mentor.
And I love what you said about shadow work. I remember being on a call with one of our Soul Rising shamanic students, and she had been having a difficult time. She'd been having a lot of emotions come up, and she knew that it was her call to do the shadow work. And I remember her getting on the call and saying, I'm scared. It's been so heavy. It's been so hard. I've heard people say that it's this really dark thing. I don't think I'm ready for it. I don't think I want to do it. And I was like, let's just for now put that to the side. And let's just see what comes up for you in this session. And by the end of the session, she had alchemized a bunch of limiting beliefs. She had felt and processed and let go of a lot of heavy emotions. And we'd been able to develop her intuitive connection so that she was actually able to hear the voice of her intuition. And at the end, she said to me, okay, well, what about the shadow work? And I said, what do you mean? What about the shadow work? And she said, well, when do we do that? And I said, you just did that process that you just did. That was the shadow work. And she was like, that's it? That's all? Like, I was expecting it to be harder. And I was like, I know. It's because it can be easy. It can be this gentle, cultivated process for you that allows you to connect with your truth in a safe and gentle and sacred way. And I think that is part of who we serve and why we're different, because we are dedicated to finding your path to healing. We believe in that authenticity and that inclusion and the diversity of your healing journey. And we're dedicated to learning what that looks like for you so that you can do that shadow work. You can receive that transformation. You can connect with the divine in a way that feels easy and flowing for you, even in the midst of really deep, hard work.
Yes. And that brings us into the cycles of the moon, right? And how the cycles of our own healing show up for ourselves, and how we can recognize when things are being illuminated within us, because there is this fear of shadow work or the dark night of the soul or any of these things where we're having to truly look at our trauma, our fears, our anxieties, our stressors, whatever it is. But when we can see the cycles of the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine, bringing in that balance, that's where the healing is. And that's where we can alchemize that, right, as people. But then to have mentorship, to have the coaching and the healing to come, and to have this sacred, safe space that is offered here with us, and to say, I can walk into this, what should be scary session, and then come out of it like, that's it. That's all that was, and for some, yes, there's a lot of tears and there's this and that, but even in that, it's still softer than handling it in other ways, and so I love that, because it really shows us that we can have that illumination, and that transformation can come forward for us, and to alchemize it into our highest self, and to just bring in balance into our lives.
And I think that piece of integration is really key to what we do. We give the time, the space to allow our students and clients to really integrate the energy that we're bringing forward, recognizing and honoring that 21-day process of, here we're doing spiritual work, and it's going to fully make manifest in your life over 21 days, and honor it, claim it, like hold that power, that honoring of the work that you've done over at least 21 days, claim that sovereignty. And that's when you see things really start to shift and change in your life. But it's the honoring of that time, that integration piece is so important. And it's often missed out on in other programs and companies.
And so all of that, the process of light and dark, those phases that we go through, the necessity of integration, all of that is part of why the moon has found its place in our logo. So if you look at our logo, it's a phoenix rising above a moon. And so in this case, the moon perfectly embodies the essence of what Moon Rising Shamanic Institute is meant to be, because it represents that delicate balance between light and dark, and it mirrors that duality that we all have in us, right? Whether we're looking at that process of emotion versus thought, or our human experience versus our spiritual experience, right? The duality of this life that we're living. And so choosing the moon as our symbol, it really underscores our commitment to guiding individuals through their own phases of transformation and illuminating that path to finding inner balance and healing. And so whether that healing for you comes from understanding that divine feminine energy in you, or connecting with that balance of light and shadow, that yin yang idea of the light and the dark and the dark and the light, and knowing that we all have these phases of transformation and release, the moon is really this symbol of perfect divine unity, balance, and connection that we're striving for. And as we look to that second piece of our logo, that phoenix, we've mentioned it a few times throughout this podcast, that phoenix always knows that true transformation comes from burning away what no longer serves us. It knows that we have to go through that process of combustion, that so that we can transmute that energy into something new. And so by by releasing into our shadow selves, by doing that shadow work and exploring the depths of who we are in a really safe and sacred and soft container that's still effective and powerful. As we do that and we release into that work and we allow ourselves to dig deep and go through that process of burning away what no longer serves us, we can then rise from those ashes as our highest selves, ready to embody our inner power and illuminate who we truly are. And so when we put the moon and the phoenix together in our logo, it represents our ability to honor our personal cycles of transformation and healing, not just as a team or as an institute, but also in our students and in our courses, that process of transformation and healing, reconciling that light and that shadow within while embracing that courage to release what's no longer serving us and claim the power of who we truly are. And so it comes together to form this really powerful symbol of healing and empowerment, and knowing that this journey isn't always, light and rainbows and fairy tales. It can have that darkness. It can have that heavy aspect, but it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be hard. We can do it in a way that honors and nurtures those cycles of light and dark, of release and rebirth, all the while stepping into that courage and that passion and that ability to be who we authentically truly are in this moment as we rise from those ashes and as we truly claim who we are in the highest, most aligned version of ourselves.
And I feel like that's why there's so many aspects of claiming the divine feminine energy in this work, right? So we have that divine feminine, and she can hold the light and the dark. She can have that space of being both angelic and warrior. And I love that. Like, that piece to me is so incredibly juicy, because when I think of a goddess, it's not just all rainbows and fairy tales. Like, she can show up in her fierceness and her courage and her power. And she can be soft, and she can be gentle, and she can be sacred. She can be feminine, and she can be receiving. And so there's a mix of two. When we really started working with Phoenix, that was the energy that was really presenting itself of, where is that angelic warrior? Where is that piece where we can embrace our divine femininity, as well as having that warrior energy of that fierce, that powerful, that courageous, to be ready to let go and release what no longer serves us? That we can really start to recognize, these are the people, the places, the situations, the relationships that I'm ready to let go of, so I can fully be in my own energy. And so we need the sword. We need that strength behind what we do to give us courage to be able to be soft, to be able to be feminine, to be able to be nurturing and receiving. And so there is that harmony between both. And that is something that, we strive for. It's not like this is easy work. Well, I mean, it can be easy work, but at the same time, it's like, it takes that authenticity to be like, I can be both. I can be both yin and yang. I can honor my divine feminine within, as well as my sacred masculine. What does that look like? What does that mean to me? Who am I in that moment of being able to be both? And how can I share that with the world? Is that my authentic truth?
And noticing in really that it's not that we're excluding the masculine, right? Like, we see it through the lens of the divine feminine because that's the energy that we embody. But noticing that you could just as easily take that fierce, courageous, powerful energy and ascribe it to the divine masculine in its balanced form. And so noticing that in all of this, we're coming back to that idea of balance. So whether we resonate with the idea of the two sides of the divine feminine, the safe, harmonious, nurturing feminine goddess, that angelic being, or that warrior, fierce, courageous, powerful goddess energy, and we see those as two sides of the divine feminine, or we choose to see that nurturing, sacred side as the feminine and that fierce warrior side as the masculine, noticing that in all of that, we're going back to that idea of the moon cycles, of that yin yang, of finding that balance in all things and really connecting with the truth of the energy and finding what that truth feels like for us, knowing that that energy is open to interpretation, that it's open to connect with and to decide what it means for you in this moment.
Mm-hmm. And noticing for the three of us that we have each walked through the fire, and we've raised from the ashes. We have become our own goddess, our own divine feminine and divine masculine, because we do have that balance, and even though there are things that we're still going to go through, we've learned the process and the cycles of how to get from the beginning to the end of it, how to bring in that nurturing, the healing that we need to self-care, as well as then be able to show up in our full, like, authentic voice and expression of who we are. And we can embody both sides of that. We can be soft, and we can be masculine, and we can be the giver, and we can be the receiver. And noticing that in society, sometimes it's kind of like you're one or the other. We run very masculine this time and age, in our society. So to be able to welcome the feminine back in, to be in the Aquarian age of femininity, and to bring that inward, and to know that as things are shifting outside of us, we can change and embody and really embrace the change within and who we want to become. And as the three of us are connecting and we are shining our light outward for everyone to see and to recognize, so that they see and recognize the light within, that is the goddess energy that I represent, that I feel that we represent, as well as having the strength of the phoenix behind, saying you can be this fierce being, as well as being the soft woman, the soft feminine energy that comes forward.
And notice the duality here. Notice that there's this duality that can be honored, and we can move it into the earth and celestial, that we have home in both areas. I am an earthling. I'm wearing this earth suit for this divine mission and purpose on earth now and divine timing. And yet I'm still connected with the celestials and a higher being, a higher purpose, and allowing that wisdom and compassion to come through. And so there's that movement of, I can honor the earth that I walk on and be fully intimate and connected with the ground, the earth, the nature, the rivers, the trees, the bushes, all of those aspects, and yet still be connected to the higher source of wisdom, of power, of passion, and allow that inspiration to come in to influence my heart so that I can activate it and live my life in communion with both. And I think that is huge. And I think this was where I probably had the most fear around, like, can I be out in the world honoring both? Will I be accepted for honoring both? And there's so many who are either all the way in the celestial, all the way in the upper chakras. And then there's others that are just all the way in the earth and all the way in the connection with the earth. And I think that there's a space that needs to be held for both. I'm still, and probably always will be, one of those people who I will consistently go back to the first three chakras. If we need to do personal healing transformation work, it's in the first three chakras. And once those are healed and worked through and honored and shine, that's when we can really start to work with the divine. But we have to have that foundation beneath us, right? And so we can have both. And there's nothing wrong with having both. And I think it's even taken us as a team to kind of recognize, like, let's be in the both. There's not one better than the other. It's an honoring of, there's a connection here. And there's this connection that I believe has gone on for hundreds of thousands of years. And we need to bring that recognition forward as we step into this new timeline. I feel like there's a new timeline for Earth and we need to claim it. Now is the time to claim it. And that I think we've been preparing to claim it. And how can we authentically show up honoring, I'm here on Earth with this divine mission and purpose, and how is it connected to both?
Absolutely. It's that as above, so below, right? We are the channel. We are the pillar We get to be that energy that we can walk this earth and be connected. At the same time, we have a knowing of something above, that we have this connection, this celestial connection to our own like soul connection, our own soul heritage. And for me, it's just, there's no separation. I can honor both of them. And I feel that we need to honor both of them, because when we're not here on earth, we are in the celestial realms. And so with that, it's recognizing where we are with it and how we can honor both sides of it, how we can show up on both sides, and how it really allows us to embrace who we truly are.
And so, in that, I would love to share with you this mission statement that we cultivated for Moon Rising Shamanic Institute, where we took all of this. We took that channeled message that Christine received at the beginning. We took the pieces of wisdom that we each downloaded about Moon Rising, and we took all of these elements of our brand, and we really sat down and thought about, so what's our mission? What's our purpose? Just as we're here to awaken that in others and in our students, what's our mission? And so here at Moon Rising Shamanic Institute, we believe that our shadows are the world's shadows. And by awakening souls to remember their divine purpose and limitless potential, we will collectively heal the world. Our internal healing will be reflected in our external reality. By mirroring the moon's phases through light and dark, we will heal the heaviness of our world as we acknowledge, reconcile, and balance the energies within. And that's our mission in the world, is to walk through this process of understanding that self-healing is the way that we create this new earth, that coming into acceptance of and connection with our true selves is how we heal the world. It is how we uplift the community, is by first going into ourselves and honoring our own healing journey and doing that work. And knowing that as we walk that path, as we bring this mission forward through Moon Rising, we're doing so in accordance with our values. We're doing so in a way that is really authentic. It's allowing us to step out of the shadows and know that we are here to claim our power, that we're here to be our highest, grandest version of ourselves. But we're here to do it in a way that is inspired, so that we're connected to the divine. We're open to those whispers of wisdom and those new perspectives. I have a saying that all of our Soul Rising students have heard me say multiple times, where when they get an idea, they get an intuitive inspiration. And for our students, it's usually to join the course, right? They usually say, I don't know why I joined the course. My intuition told me to do it. And then there hits this mark about 2 or 3 weeks in where their minds take over and their minds start saying, oh my gosh, what did I do? Am I going to be able to make it? Is this going to help? Am I actually going to heal? And I always say to them, your intuition started this process. It started this journey. This is your intuition's baby. Don't let your mind take it over. And so we're staying true to that when it comes to Moon Rising. It was through our intuition and through the divine that Moon Rising Shamanic Institute came through. And so we vow, we have agreed, we are committed to continuing in that path of inspiration and allowing our intuition to be the one that guides us forward in each and every moment, so that we can remain connected and aligned with our own divine purpose and mission, but also the collective purpose and mission for Moon Rising itself.
And that's where we can step into the values of purposeful and compassionate. We're having this intention dedicated to remembering our soul's purpose and awakening to our light. So we're doing it with intention. I can't emphasize that enough, of how do we bring in intentional rituals and routines in our life so that we can live a purposeful life, that we're doing it in our authenticity, in that space of inspiration, and be purposeful in our action. And while we're having that purposeful action, we can be compassionate. We can embrace that truth in everyone's experiences and see from different angles and lenses, vowing to empower them out of victimhood and towards healing. And so this is that empowerment, knowing that we have systematically been set up to be in victimhood mode in this world that we were born into. And we are here now to break out of that box and into our compassionate, purposeful, mystical, balanced, authentic, and inspired truth. Like when we can do that, then we can start moving forward into, I am fully taking responsibility for who I am and my actions, and I can do it in a compassionate way. So we want to share with you what compassion looks like and have that experienced within our communities, within our courses, within our groups, so that we can find that space, that sacred space for one another.
And so in that, we then are also stepping into this mystical place where we're rooted in the earth and reaching to the cosmos and striving to see that magic in every moment. One of our pillars that we'll talk about in just a second is that idea of being in that metaphysical space, of stepping into the quantum realm and realizing that there is so much more to reality than what meets the eye. That ability to have our 5 physical senses that we use to engage with the world around us, but knowing that each of those physical senses has a spiritual counterpart, has an ability to see beyond, to reach beyond this physical reality and touch that spiritual truth that exists in that energetic realm. And in that, we step into that mysticism. We step into that part of ourselves that is spiritual and energetic and connected, but also balanced. And so once again, as we look to the moon, as we look to the divine feminine, as we look to the yin yang symbol, we honor that light and that dark, and we find the balance in each moment. So we're not leaning more towards our spirituality than we are to our humanity. We're finding the balance in each and knowing that it's in that balanced space that true healing occurs, that our meter, our energetic meter and our physical meter, our well-being is full and overflowing when we're in that balanced state, so that we can live a life that is aligned with who we want to be, that we can live a life that's coming straight from our visions, coming from that divine inspiration and making its way to being manifested in this physical world around us. And that, that does lead us into our pillars of what Moon Rising is really here to do. There are all of these different aspects and these characteristics of the brand that we've brought forward, but exactly how are we doing that, right? How are we operating in the world to be able to fulfill our mission? And so our first pillar is, of course, shamanism, that ability to dance with nature's rhythms and connect with those celestial energies, while also learning how to shamanic journey to the 3 realms, knowing that through that process of direct revelation, we can go into the spiritual realms and know that they don't have to remain this kind of foggy external idea of, well, I know I have a guide, but I don't really know who they are. I'm not exactly sure how I get answers from them. It's this process of knowing that it's our divine birthright to be able to go into the spiritual realms, to journey into the spirit realms and commune with spirit, to connect with our spirit guide, connect with our power animal, and cultivate this spirit team where we become divine co-creators of our own life and our own experience, because we know that we can dance between those realms and we can honor the earth and we can honor the sky and we can honor the directions and our spirit team and create this really holistic perspective of what healing and living really means. And then our second pillar are those metaphysics that I brought up just a second ago, that idea of bridging the gap between science and spirituality by stepping into the quantum realms and honoring animism, which is a pillar of shamanism itself, this idea that everything around us has energy, has movement, has spirit within it, and therefore we can learn from everything around us. We can connect to everything around us. And it's that idea that we are all one. We are all connected. And we can connect that with Reiki and with energy healing. And we can see how quantum physics ties in with energy healing, which ties in with the chakras, which ties in with animism, which ties in with all of these different things, so that we can understand that we are metaphysical beings, that we have our physical body, but we are also so much more than that. And by bridging the two, we can come into that balance and we can live a life where in each moment we're able to connect with our human self, but we're also able to connect with that spiritual, energetic self in a really tangible, powerful, and impactful way.
So as we stand in these pillars, so we've got the shamanism, the metaphysics, so we also have self-awareness. So the pillars, you can think about it almost like a table, like where are the legs of the table that help us stand up in our values, right? So one of those pillars are also self-awareness of recognizing our 9 chakras, those energy centers, as a lens to see where we need to heal. Because having awareness is always the first step of healing. We cannot heal if we don't recognize what needs to be healed. We need to understand what our triggers and traumas are so that we can alchemize it, so we can honor it, so we can release it, so we can transform it, so we can transmute it. And so by doing so, and especially using the lens of the chakras, we can really see what needs to be healed where. Is it on the emotional side? Is it on the physical side? Is it on the spiritual side? Is it a combo? And really starting to recognize that you are worthy of this healing work. And as we do this self-awareness, then we can start moving into deeper healing work. We can start cultivating that personal growth, striving for our desired realities and knowing that we're worthy of them. And so we want to invite all of our students and clients to really recognize that self-awareness is a gift. If we can recognize what needs to be healed, those self-sabotaging behaviors will come to an end. Those triggers will know how to respond to them in a more healthy way, and to have language and communication to go, I'm being triggered right now. I'm curious about where that came from, and having that curiosity invited into your life instead of just having an automatic response initiated by our nervous system, by our PTSD, if you will. You're starting to heal on a very deep layer. And so having the shamanism, having the metaphysics, having the self-awareness will then lead us into really accepting and embracing the mysticism. Shantel, do you want to share about that?
Yeah. So with the fourth pillar being mysticism, this really brings in the awareness of our own personal cycles and in our own way of healing. And what does that look like? And so as we each embrace our ability to self-heal and to seek those who can assist us and help us in our healing process, it's very much recognizing that we're not just healing ourselves here in this life form, but also through all timeline, space, dimensions, that we're able to clear it throughout our soul's history, and to know that we're working and connecting with our spirit guides and our power animals and our spiritual team, and knowing that they are tangible. We can communicate with them. We can connect with them. We can work with them. And like Isabel was saying, this is part of our divine birthright, is to have that relationship with them, is to have that connection with them. And so we do that through ceremony. We do that through intention, through setting up our goals and what it is that we want for ourselves, and the layers that we want to pull back, and the energy we want to work with. And so bringing in mysticism, it brings in a very strong, powerful fourth pillar of understanding of self and how we operate within, so that we can truly express ourselves outwardly.
So knowing that within those pillars, there are multiple ways that we're offering to be able to engage with this energy, to engage with yourself and engage with these pillars so that you can find your own path to healing. You can find your own path to developing your spiritual gifts, to connecting with your intuition, to finding your balance between those human and spiritual realms. And the first of those is, of course, working with us one-on-one, connecting with our Moon Rising team in an online healing session to receive personalized spiritual support. And these sessions allow you to really lean on the unique spiritual gifts that each of our team members have. And so if you go on our website, we have a list of what the three of us specialize in. And so you can go in and you can find which practitioner, which mystic, which mentor, if you will, is going to resonate most for you and your circumstances. What kind of healing do you need? What kind of support do you need? What kind of guidance do you need? And what container is going to be the most supportive for you in that? Is this just a one-time session, or do you need a longer 3-month container where you're working with one of us or all of us every week? Knowing that there is such beauty and having someone who's willing to hold your hand through your journey, who's willing to hold the energetic space and almost be like a tuning fork for your own healing, so that you can learn to resonate and vibrate higher, so that you can learn to release and alchemize what's holding you back, so that you too can rise from the ashes, that you can embody that phoenix energy and step into your highest self through that personal support, by having someone there to witness you and guide you and understand what you're going through. And knowing that importance of, like Shantel said earlier, how every member of our team has walked through that fire. We've gone through this process. We've developed our unique skills and gifts by walking this path ourselves. And so we know and understand and can have that compassion for and that perspective of your own healing path and your own past, your own experiences, but doing so in a way that we're holding space to truly witness you and accept you and give you permission to say, what do you want? Obviously, you're ready to heal because you're here, you're listening, you're doing the work, but what is it you want? What do you want out of this? What's that life of your dreams look like? What is your highest self calling you to? And let's find a way to make that happen. And if that level of one-on-one support doesn't feel right for you right now, if you're just looking for a way to engage with the community, to connect with this energy in a way that we're lifting each other up and finding that healing in solidarity, hearing other people's stories and having a safe, sacred space to be able to share your own, then you can join us for regular live events because that community is such of importance to us. And so we have monthly Q&As where you can join with the three of us, your Moon Rising team, your Moon Rising Mystics, and ask your questions, whether those are personal questions about your experiences or your healing journey, or questions about things that you've heard here on the podcast, or if you're a student, something you want to ask about the course that you're in. We'll also have monthly alchemy circles, and these healing circles will give you the opportunity to engage with a different healing modality every month. Or you can join us for our spiritual book clubs that happen every quarter, where we take a look at different spiritual books and pieces of literature that are going to help us expand our energy to understand and connect with the divine in ourselves in a deeper way, and so much more. So you can find the list of all of those events over on our website, or you can join us in the Moon Rising Shamanic Mystics Facebook group and continue that interaction, continue that engagement each and every day, surrounded by people who are committed to living this life, those spiritual seekers who are interested in shamanism, metaphysics, mysticism, and self-awareness. These people who are committed to their healing journey and committed to holding space for others who are on their healing journeys as well, knowing that that community is here to support you, and knowing that we have so many opportunities to engage with this energy, to engage with yourself. And if you're ready to dive even deeper, then we also have our Soul Rising Shamanic Reiki course that Christine can share more about.
I know, I'm like, I want to share about this one, right? So I would love to invite you to join us for this Soul Rising Shamanic Reiki 4-month program. It's definitely our baby. Like, we've put so much time and energy in developing coursework and content and support to really allow our students to come in, have that self-awareness, and start shedding the limiting beliefs, the self-sabotaging behaviors. And we're doing that through the first 4 chakras. While you're healing root through heart, you're also invited to engage with us, connect with us on how to do shamanic work, connecting with the shamanic realm. So we teach you skills and techniques to learn how to shamanic journey without plant medicine, to the lower world, to the upper world, to the middle world, to meet your spirit guide, your power animal, your higher self in a way that is all surrounded in this divine revelation, direct revelation, so that you no longer need to be giving your power to a guru or a teacher. You're available to find your power within. You're available to find your answers from within and allow that to move your energy forward. So we're utilizing the chakras to really heal and recognize or have that self-awareness, to give it a platform to do the deeper healing work, whether that's inner child work, whether that's recognizing what you need to release and let go of and create boundaries in your life, whether that is stepping into your heart space and transmuting the grief that you've held there. There's so many different areas in which we really honor through the Soul Rising program. And so I would love to invite you to go to our website, check out the page there that's all on Soul Rising. We start our next course on September 8th. So it's right around the corner. And then if you feel so called to continue, we also have a Soul Rising practitioner training and a Soul Rising advanced training. So each one builds onto each other, so that if you want to hang out with us for a full year and really become a masterful practitioner, you absolutely can. But this is step 1. Self-healing is always the first step. And so we want to invite you into that magical, mystical, sacred container to do this work with us.
And so knowing that in that, this is our welcome to you to join us here at Moon Rising Shamanic Institute, knowing that At Moon Rising, we are here through online shamanic healing, intuitive connection, transformative self-awareness, like Christine said, and personalized support for your journey. We're here to support you in alchemizing that trauma and expanding beyond your limiting beliefs and embodying your highest self. This is your first step. This is your invitation to take that step on a path to profound healing. And so learning to communicate with the divine, embracing the rhythms of the earth and the wisdom of the cosmos, creating those conscious connections with your spirit team, leaning into the symbolism of the moon and the phoenix, learning to alchemize your shadows and illuminate your soul. That time for you to address the heart of your healing and step into a safe space so that you can acknowledge, reconcile, and balance those energies has come. And this is our invitation to you to join us here at Moon Rising Shamanic Institute, to step into your power and into your truth, to bring light to your shadows and allow your soul to rise. And so with that, we thank you, as always, for the honor and the privilege of your time, for joining us in welcoming in this new era of energy, this new Shamanic Institute, and this new community, this sacred space that we've created for you to come heal, connect, and rise. And until next time, may you awaken to those whispers of wisdom rising from within yourself. Thanks for tuning in to today's show. The Wisdom Rising podcast is sponsored by Moon Rising Shamanic Institute. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcasting app and be the first to know when we release a new episode. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Moon Rising Institute, or visit our website, moonrisinginstitute.com, to learn more about our mission and find future opportunities to connect with our community of shamanic mystics. Once again, thank you for sharing space with us today. And until next time, may you awaken to the whispers of wisdom rising from within.